But their desire was cursed, for any man who lay with them would bear the child instead of the woman. And upon the birth of the child, which was always a female, the man would perish. This was the dark secret of how they multiplied, ensuring their matriarchy's survival. Kweku and the Forbidden Cave of Riches and Treasures. In the shadow of the towering giant mountains, there existed a cave wrapped in whispers and enigma, the Forbidden Nkala Cave. Legends spoke of it as a realm apart from the world, where no man had dared venture and return to tell the tale. They said it was home to a strange and seductive peril, a land of treasures, trickery and enchanting women, whose beauty was matched only by the danger they posed. The cave was ruled by a very beautiful queen, as fearsome as she was fair. It was said that she and her subjects used their allure to ensnare any man brave or foolish enough to enter their domain. The cave town was an enclave inhabited only by women who longed for male companions. But their desire was cursed, for any man who lay with them would bear the child instead of the woman. And upon the birth of the child, which was always a female, the man would perish. This was the dark secret of how they multiplied, ensuring their matriarchy's survival. Kweku had grown up hearing the legends of the cave and was wary of the tales. When he was a young boy, his mother had often warned him never to visit the cave, as it was a place of great magic and peril. "The people who live there are not like us," she would say, her eyes wide. "They are creatures of a different kind. Do not be fooled by their beauty and promises," and so Kweku had learned to keep his distance, and heeding his mother's words, never dared to enter the forbidden cave. However, as the years passed, Kweku, a notorious womanizer whose life was a fabric of disappointment and misfortune, has tried countless ventures to find success, but none bore fruit. Feeling really desperate and excited for a challenge, Kweku couldn't resist the temptation of the mysterious cave. Stories about legendary treasures buried deep inside the cave town tantalized him. Ignoring his mother's warnings, Kweku gathered his brave and eager friends Nana, Yao Yuchena, and Ayo, and they all set off on the journey to explore the cave. As they neared the cave, a heavy sense of unease settled over Kweku. His friends felt it too, and some wanted to turn back. But Kweku wouldn't have it. "We've come this far," he said firmly. "Are we going to give up now? Are we afraid of what might be waiting? Or do we have the courage to see it through?" Encouraged by Kweku's determination, they pushed on, ready to face whatever lay ahead as they stood at the mouth of the cave, ready for whatever adventures awaited them. As Kweku and his friends journeyed towards the forbidden Nkala cave, memories of his past haunted him like shadows in the dusk. Once a charming and adventurous youth, Kweku had been deeply scarred by the sudden loss of his father at a tender age. The void left by his father's absence gnawed at him, pushing him towards reckless pursuits and fleeting romantic encounters in a desperate attempt to fill the emptiness within. But despite his efforts, Kweku found himself increasingly isolated, his heart heavy with disillusionment and yearning for something more meaningful. As they trudged onward through rugged terrain and dense undergrowth, Kweku's mind wandered back to the present, his thoughts interrupted by the sound of his companions' banter and laughter. Despite the weight of his past, he found solace in their friendship, their shared determination to conquer the mysteries of the cave, lending him a newfound sense of purpose. Suddenly, the air around them seemed to still, a hushed anticipation settling over the group as they neared the mouth of the forbidden Nkala cave. It was then that they were met by a magnificent eagle, its keen eyes assessing them with a mixture of wisdom and solemnity. With a regal tilt of its head, the majestic eagle cast a penetrating gaze upon them, its voice echoing with an undeniable authority that commanded attention. In that moment, their journey came to an abrupt pause, as if the very air around them held its breath in anticipation of the eagle's words. "Welcome, travelers," the eagle began, its voice resonating the weight of centuries. "Before you lies the gateway to the forbidden garden of riches and treasures. But passage is not granted lightly. Each of you must answer a riddle correctly to prove your worthiness. Fail, and you shall be banished for 50 years. With determination, Kweku and his companions nodded in understanding, prepared to face the challenge ahead. The eagle fixed its gaze on Io and posed the first riddle. I speak without a mouth and I hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I? Io furrowed his brow, deep in thought, before tentatively offering, "You are an echo." Impressed by his quick wit, the eagle nodded in approval, granting Io passage into the cave. Turning to Nana, the eagle presented the second riddle. I'm not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What am I? Nana pondered the riddle, but alas, the answer eluded him. With a solemn nod, the eagle informed him of his fate and bid him farewell until 50 years had passed. The eagle also remarked that the correct answer is fire. Uchenna stepped forward eagerly as the eagle issued the next challenge. I have cities, but no houses. I have mountains, but no trees. I have water, but no fish. What am I? Uchenna, a quick-witted prankster, scratched his head in mock confusion. A map, he exclaimed. Impressed by his cleverness, the eagle nodded in approval, allowing Uchenna to proceed into the cave. Yor approached the eagle, his heart pounding with anticipation as the bird presented the fourth riddle. I'm light as a feather, yet the strongest man can't hold me for much longer than a minute. What am I? Despite his best efforts, Yor could not decipher the answer. With a heavy heart, the eagle informed him of his fate and bid him farewell until 50 years had passed. The eagle then revealed that breath was indeed the correct answer. Finally, it was Kweku's turn. He stepped forward with a mix of determination and nervousness as the eagle posed the last riddle. The more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I? Kweku's mind raced, trying to decipher the riddle. He thought back to his experiences and the wisdom gained from his journey. After a tense moment of contemplation, he spoke with unwavering confidence. Footsteps, he declared. Impressed by his astuteness, the eagle nodded in approval, allowing Kweku to join his companions within the forbidden garden of riches and treasures. With heavy hearts, Yor and Nana bid farewell to their friends, knowing that their own journey to unlock the secrets of the cave would have to wait for half a century. As they bid farewell to their friends who must wait 50 years to try again, Kweku and his companions are filled with a renewed sense of purpose and determination to uncover the secrets of the cave. Their descent into the cave was long and arduous, the air growing thick and stale. Finally, they reached the bottom, emerging into a breathtaking cavern filled with shimmering gold and sparkling jewels. Beautiful cloths hung on the walls, and the air was filled with a sweet smell of incense. In the middle of the room was a grand throne made of one big piece of golden jade. Sitting on it was a woman who looked incredibly beautiful, with eyes as blue as the evening sky. She had a royal vibe about her that filled the whole room, and you could feel her power just by being near her. Welcome, travelers. The queen's voice flowed like aged honey, smooth and rich. Her gaze swept over them, lingering on Kweku, his heart hammering in his chest, forced a smile. Greetings, your majesty. We come seeking the legendary treasures of the cave. The queen's lips curved into a mischievous smile. Treasures abound within these walls, she said, gesturing to the glittering bounty around them. But true riches come not from gold or jewels, but from pleasures and delights. Just then, the queen clicked her fingers, and a group of beautiful ladies started emerging from the dark corners, laughing softly like wind chimes. They wore shimmering, transparent silk garments and moved gracefully, like gazelles. Kweku felt a familiar pull, a yearning for the fleeting comfort he often sought. "Let my ladies show you the true meaning of riches," the queen purred, her voice laced with unspoken promises. "Forget your tiresome quest for gold. Here you can have all the wine, women, and song your heart's desire." Uchenna, ever the voice of reason, nudged Kweku. "Remember why we came here," he whispered. Kweku glanced at his friends, their faces etched with a mixture of longing and determination. Steeling his resolve, Kweku faced the queen. "We appreciate your hospitality, your majesty," he said, his voice firm. "But we are here for a specific treasure, and we won't be swayed by fleeting pleasures." A look of mock surprise flashed across the queen's face. "But surely there is no greater treasure than that which I offer," she replied, her tone edged with steel. "Do you not find me and my subjects pleasing to the eye?" A chorus of giggles filled the air as those beautiful ladies moved closer, their gazes smoldering with desire. But Kweku and his friends steeled their hearts, refusing to fall prey to the seductive charms of the queen and her court. "My queen," Kweku said firmly, "we must decline your offer and continue our quest for the treasure of the cave." A flicker of anger crossed the queen's face. "A foolish choice," she hissed. "But very well. Perhaps a challenge will pique your interest." A secret door opened in the wall, showing a dusty, fancy chest with intricate designs. The queen pointed at it. "Inside lies a riddle," she said, her voice cold. "Solve it correctly, and the true treasure of the cave will be yours for the taking. Fail, and you will remain here as slaves for eternity." Kweku and his friends exchanged nervous glances. The weight of the challenge settled upon them, heavy and suffocating. With a deep breath, Kweku stepped forward, the fate of his companions resting on his shoulders. He reached out and slowly lifted the lid of the chest. Inside the chest, there was a simple scroll. Kweku carefully opened it, and his eyes widened as he read the inscription. "I'm precious and rare, sought after with joy, yet my value lies not in gold or currency. What am I?" The room became quiet. The riddle's significance filled the air with tension. Kweku shut his eyes, focusing on the words. Memories of past mistakes and the feeling of emptiness consumed him. He opened his eyes, a newfound determination burning within them. "Knowledge," he declared, his voice ringing through the cavern. The queen's eyes narrowed with a serious expression on her face. The room fell silent, and all we could hear was Kweku and his friends breathing heavily. Finally, with a loud creak, the chest opened, and a super bright light flooded the room, making it hard to see anything else. When the light subsided, the queen and her beautiful maidens had vanished, leaving Kweku and his friends puzzled and quiet. Kweku stared, heart hammering in his chest, at the empty space where the Queen of Nkala had just been. A moment ago, she'd been threatening them with a chilling smile, and now poof, gone. He glanced at Uchenna, whose eyes mirrored his own bewildered confusion. Did she just disappear?" Uchenna whispered, his voice barely audible. Kweku shrugged, feeling the weight of the silence hanging over them. The air was thick with the lingering scent of jasmine, and an unsettling sense of being watched filled the cavern. They stood there, motionless, the only sound the harsh rasp of their breaths. Suddenly, a deep rumble echoed through the cave, sending dust falling down from above. Kweku's grip tightened on Uchenna's arm, fear gripping his throat. Was this the end? Was the cave collapsing around them? But instead of crumbling, the floor beneath their feet began to rise. Slowly, a hidden chamber emerged from the darkness, revealing a sight that stole their breath away. It wasn't just gold that filled the chamber, though there were mountains of it, gold coins stacked up high, shiny necklaces hanging on statues, and fancy knives shining like tiny suns. Scattered amongst the gold were artifacts that whispered of ancient magic, ornately carved staffs crackling with unseen energy, crystal spheres that pulsed with an inner light. Uchenna's eyes widened. This is the real treasure, he breathed, his voice a reverent whisper. Kweku, for once, couldn't argue. The dream of a life beyond hardship solidified into a tangible reality. He lunged for a fistful of gold coins, the coolness a stark contrast to the feverish heat rising within him. This was it. This was their chance to escape this life of endless struggle. Uchenna, usually pragmatic, was infected by Kweku's enthusiasm. He grabbed a golden goblet etched with swirling patterns. A nervous laugh escaped his lips. "Imagine the life we could have," he murmured. For the next hour, they were lost in a frenzy of treasure hunting. Kweku stuffed his pockets with coins, his imagination conjuring images of a mansion with golden doorknobs and a swimming pool filled with liquid gold. Impractical, he knew, but undeniably cool. Uchenna, ever the collector, carefully selected artifacts, his eyes gleaming with the thrill of discovery. Suddenly, a sharp clang echoed through the chamber, and a heavy stone slab slammed shut behind them. Panic seized Kweku. They were trapped. His head whipped around, searching for another exit. "Don't worry," Uchenna said, surprisingly calm. "There must be another way out. Remember the riddles at the entrance? Maybe there's a puzzle here too." As they desperately scanned the chamber, their eyes fell on a large, ornately carved tablet mounted on the wall. It was inscribed with cryptic symbols and swirling patterns that seemed to shift and change before their very eyes. Just as Kweku was about to voice his frustration, a cold splash of water hit him square in the face. He sputtered, scrambling to his feet. Io stood beside him, looking mischievous and holding a leaking water jug. "Another treasure hunt dream, Kweku. You were mumbling something about a golden loot." Kweku glared. "Io, you ruined it. I was just about to figure out the puzzle and escape with all this treasure." He gestured wildly at the overflowing bags around him. Io chuckled, his broad shoulders shaking. Yeah, and the queen with sapphire eyes was going to let you keep it all, right?" It was almost real, Io. We were so close to escaping this life of drudgery. Uchenna, ever the voice of reason, walked in and surveyed the scene. "Easy there, both of you. Kweku, dreams are dreams. Io was just trying to wake you up. But it felt so real. And besides, couldn't you have woken me up with a gentle nudge or something? Splashing water like that is just barbaric." Io feigned offense. "Barbaric? I'll have you know this is the finest spring water from the village well. Now get up, you lazybones. We've got another day of hauling firewood to keep those dreams at bay." Kweku sighed, the disappointment of the lost treasure still lingering. Fine, but next time, Io, a nudge will do. No more water torture." Uchenna chuckled, clapping Kweku on the shoulder. "Come on, let's get some breakfast. Maybe today you'll dream of a mountain of delicious mangoes instead of gold." Kweku couldn't help but smile. Maybe a life of hardship wasn't so bad, especially with friends like Io and Uchenna. And maybe, just maybe, the real treasures were the ones they already had. After all, where else would you find friends who woke you up with a bucket of water and then argued about the proper etiquette of dream disruption? As they stepped out into the crisp morning air, the laughter of their bickering drifted away, a treasure far more valuable than any chamber filled with riches.